Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
I don't understand. This team makes no sense. They get outworked, they did not defend, and they could not score. So I'll tell you this for free. When those things happen, when you get outworked, when you don't defend, and when you don't score, you put yourself in a really tough position to win a basketball game, okay? So I just don't understand this team. It's so ridiculous that they continue to do this. Now, normally they show up against teams that are at least decent in this league. They play like this against Orlando and the Cleveland Cavaliers and the bad teams in this league because they expect to win. Well, I mean, how can this happen? How can you go into a building like Indiana when you know that team has some sort of energy going around them right now? They're winning basketball games. You heard one of their coaches in the past, earlier this season, talk smack about how much they hate the Sixers. How can you show up and play like that and put that type of effort out on the court? It's ridiculous. I'll start with the Joel Embiid thing. No Joel Embiid in this game, and I get that he will be load managed. There will be load management for him. He will rest. There will be days where he doesn't play just because it's him and they're trying to save him for the playoffs and all of that. I get it. I'm not against it. But here's where I would question when it happened and when they chose to use this load management day. Friday, Saturday, earlier this week. Well, I guess it would technically be last week, but the last two games, Orlando and the Miami Heat. Back to back. Don't play against Orlando. Don't play against Orlando. You rest him against the teams that don't really matter and all of that. You rest him against the teams that aren't in the playoffs, that are weaker. Have Joel Embiid play the Miami Heat. Have Joel Embiid play the Indiana Pacers. What's wrong with sitting Friday, playing Saturday, and then playing Tuesday afternoon? That's enough off for me. I mean, you're off Sunday, you're off Monday. You don't participate in the back-to-back. So I don't understand that. These are planned days. These things are planned out in advance. Okay, Joel, you're going to sit here, you're going to sit there, you're going to take this game off. It makes so much sense for Joel Embiid to sit a Friday against the Orlando Magic on a back-to-back situation than it does this. And look what happened. Joel Embiid is so important to this team. He's the reason why they have a personality. It's him. He changes so much. He changes a lot of things defensively. He changes a lot of things on the offensive side of the ball. For all those people that claimed, we don't need Joel Embiid. Let's get rid of him because Ben Simmons can run it without him. All you got to do is surround him with shooters. Yeah, no. You saw that on display. There's so much to dive into with this game, but first we need to hear a word from my sponsor, SeatGeek. Do you want free money? If you use the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page, you get $20 off of your total purchase. That's free beer, free parking, free food. It's a no-brainer. Use the promo code BROADS today. So Al Horford deserves a ton of criticism because he's too good to be playing this bad. He's lost, he's confused, and he's not even working hard, and that's an issue. He was brought in here to be able to back up Joel Embiid when he's not playing, when he does need to rest, and he's not doing that. He was, minus 25 or 26 last game in a 1-point game? That's almost impossible. And he followed that up with a minus 26 performance in this one. At least that makes sense because it was such a blowout. But still, that's ridiculous. He's minus 51 in his last two games. He had 3 rebounds in this one. He shot 2 for 12. He had 5 points total. I mean, he wasn't even grabbing boards. He wasn't doing anything. He was hurting the team once again. And he's too good to be doing this. Everyone wants to talk about his age and the contract. He's too good to be playing this way. That's just facts. He's confused with his role right now with this team, and it's affecting him. That needs to be figured out. This was a game for him to somewhat get right. I'm not saying drop 35 points and be this elite stud, but it was a game for him to at least find some sort of rhythm, get some sort of groove going. Earlier this year, there were moments where he thrived without Joel Embiid on the floor, and he was decent scoring the basketball. I don't know what's going on with him right now. I mean, it's all mental, but it's affecting the way that he's even working on the defensive side and grabbing rebounds, and that just flat out can't happen. That's a problem. That's an issue. And that brings me to Brett Brown, because I thought Brett Brown made one crucial decision in this one, and it had to do with Kyle O'Quinn and Al Horford and Norvell Pell and just that whole situation. Kyle O'Quinn started the game off, and he was actually doing a decent job. He was bringing the intensity defensively. He was grabbing rebounds. He was doing what Al Horford didn't do throughout the game. And I don't understand why he went away from Kyle O'Quinn. Kyle O'Quinn was providing something for this team. He played very limited minutes early on, and then it was all Indiana Pacers in that second quarter, and that's really where the Sixers lost the game. They got outscored 38-16. But I hated the decision by Brett Brown to go away from Kyle O'Quinn in this one. Norvell Pell played minutes. He got dunked on by Sabonis. I mean, this dunk was nasty. It was disturbing. I jumped out of my seat and almost threw up. And you hate to see that when it's your own player, but dude got dunked on. And here's the thing. I tip my cap to him because he's not afraid to challenge everyone. He challenged everyone every time someone comes down the lane. So there's going to be some positive moments when that happens. There's going to be some energized moments. And then there's going to be some times where you're on the poster. And in this situation, he absolutely was. Now, like I said, I tip my cap, but at some point, though, I think you got to be smart about it, right? So, yeah, it's great that you bring this intensity at the rim, but sometimes a big dunk like that can change the momentum of a game. And not that saying this did that, because the Pacers had that the whole time anyway, but I still think you make a smart business decision at times and a smart momentum decision at times. He got posterized. One hell of a dunk. But when I'm talking about Brett Brown, I think that decision right there was his worst, without a doubt, throughout this game. I know a lot of fans are upset, and deservingly so. They are now in the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, but it's not like it's not a close race. Everyone is involved with everyone except for the Milwaukee Bucks. So, take it for what it is. They're in the 6th seed, but everyone is in the mix with each other. The Sixers are just playing bad basketball. I put this, once again, and this is just how my mind works when it comes to this game, I put this on the players. Is it Brett Brown's fault that Al Horford is playing piss poor right now? Is it Brett Brown's fault that Tobias Harris had 9 points? Is it Brett Brown's fault that Ben Simmons had 6 turnovers and is just not shooting the basketball ever? And he's not even playing great defense. Like, he didn't play great defense in this game. He didn't stand out to me defensively in this one. No one did. I don't care about his 18 points. I don't care about Josh Richardson's 20 points. The players didn't come ready to play, and that's on them. That's on the players. The players aren't playing. They are not competing. That is on them. But bros, the coach's job is to pump the players up. Okay. Maybe in AAU ball. Professional sports. And, I'm okay with moving on from him if this season doesn't work out. I'm not some huge Brett Brown supporter, but I think that the players are getting these free passes. Well, it's not the players' fault. It's Brett Brown's fault. It's Brett Brown's fault. It's not the players' fault. No. See, I don't think of it like that. I think of it as the players aren't playing. And to be fair, I'll always look at the other side. One of my main beliefs in this sport is the players are the reason why teams win championships. Is Ty Lue an elite head coach in this league because he has a ring, a title? Hell no. The players won the championship. So with that being said, why not fire Brett Brown then? Because the coach doesn't do anything. And that's fair. I mean, that's a fair argument. The players are more important than a head coach in this league, in this sport. So I would be okay with moving on from Brett Brown if this doesn't work. I just hate the narrative that these players get free passes and everything is the coach's fault, because it's just not true. I'm sorry. The reason why they didn't win today was more on the guys not playing hard enough, not playing smart basketball, not competing. Which is weird, though, because normally with the backup goalie effect, which is what this game was, and when I say that, I mean when the Flyers play their backup goalie, when a hockey team plays their backup goalie, there seems to be some sense of urgency from the team to put a little extra effort in. Well, without Joel Embiid, you would think this team would play harder. They would commit to working harder because they know they have to. Because they know that there's a gap in that center position where they normally have one of the best centers in the NBA. You would think their mind would tell them, all right, boys, we got to be locked and loaded. We got to be focused. We got to make it happen. We got to bear down. But nope. I also want to throw this in there. 4 weeks ago, the Philadelphia Eagles were 5-7. They lost to Miami. Then they put together this big stretch, and here they are in the playoffs. I'm not saying this will happen. I'm not saying it won't happen. But 4 weeks ago, everyone hated the Eagles, couldn't stand watching them. They sucked. They were horrible. This team right now is playing ugly basketball. It's tough to watch, and I can compare it to the Boston Celtics of last year. They were favored to come out of the Eastern Conference, and they just couldn't get anything going. The expectations were so high. They were frustrated in the locker room. Things didn't go as planned, or things didn't go as discussed from a media standpoint and how the media looked at them. It didn't go the way the media thought it would with the talent they had. Right now, the Sixers are playing that way. But it can all change. It can all change. It changed with the Eagles. It absolutely can. I know it doesn't seem that way right now, but 4 weeks ago, if we said the Eagles would win 4 straight and win the division at 9-7, you would literally laugh. You would laugh in someone's face. So when I say this right now, that anything can happen, things can change, you're probably going to laugh in my face, or laugh at your computer screen, your iPad, your iPhone, whatever you're listening to this on. But it can happen. It can happen. It's December. It's not pretty. Things are really ugly right now. And the fact that the conversation of a team-only meeting, the fact that conversation's happening, that's not good. But I still know at the end of the day that this team is in the mix with everybody else. They just are. That's what it is. You can think they suck. You can think they're the worst team in the NBA. You can be pissed off with them. But whether you like it or not, they're in the mix with the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, the Toronto Raptors, the Pacers. They're in the mix with all of them. At this very moment, they're not playing good enough ball, though. They need to find a way to play better ball. And everyone talking about making trades. We got to trade for this. We got to find an elite shooter. There's really not much you can do. You can buy out a veteran. You can buy out a contract. But there's not many pieces to move. You're not trading Ben. You're not trading Joel. You're not trading Tobias. You're not trading Al Horford. You're not trading Josh Richardson. Maybe you can find a way to move Mike Scott and Zahir Smith and pieces like that. But you're not getting an elite shooter for that. So there's a little thing here and there that you can fix and add little, but nothing monstrous. This is what it is. This is the team. This is what the Sixers are. So you got to make it work. Roster construction has been a big conversation because specifically I think Al Horford's struggling to find any sort of identity out there. But this is what it is. You need to find a way. You got to make it work. 6 for 29 from 3. It was bad. It was ugly, just chucking up shots. Here's one play that really stood out to me. It was an inbound play. Ben Simmons underneath the basket. Everyone just floods down the court. And he's literally sitting there with the ball in his hands. Yo, come on, come back. He tries to force a pass to half court. I think it was Lamb who picked it off, and then it ended up shooting it from 3 and drilling it. I mean, that told the story. That play right there told the story. TJ McConnell was getting a double-double, and there was actually audio picked up throughout the game of him talking smack during the blowout. Him and Kyle O'Quinn. TJ McConnell's chirping Kyle O'Quinn. I actually thought it was hilarious. Good for TJ McConnell. This little kid running around, making plays, being a hustler, coming from nothing, getting paid going to Indiana. I loved it. Why the hell not? Why wouldn't I? He's chirping Kyle O'Quinn. Kyle O'Quinn's pissed off or something. TJ McConnell shows up with a double-double. Unbelievable. I'll tell you one thing I didn't like in this game. It has nothing to do with the actual game itself. I thought those jerseys that the Pacers were wearing, hideous. Hideous. What was that? It was all white with the blue strip on the one side, and then they had the advertisement on it, which was like a yellow circle. What was that? Those are atrocious looking. Not that that means anything. Not that that matters at all. When you look at the Pacers, they only had 6 turnovers. That shows you what type of defense the Sixers played. Because the Sixers are normally aggressive. They're annoying to play against from the perimeter. And listen, Joel Embiid not being in the paint is going to affect things. They're going to have easier drives to the basket. They're going to have layups in the paint because Joel Embiid is that much of a difference maker. And there's a big time difference from when he's out there on the floor and when he's not. But all around, the Sixers were not pesty enough. They weren't being annoying from the perimeter. That allowed them to drive in. 6 turnovers for the Pacers. I'm sorry, are you serious, Sixers defense? That's the bread and butter. That's the identity of this team. When they don't play with the intensity on the defensive side of the floor, they're boned. They're screwed because that's what they need to do to be successful. Shots aren't going to fall with this team because they are not a great shooting team. But you need to bring it on the other side. It's so simple. And that's why someone like Furkan Korkmaz can't stay on the floor. There was a time throughout that second quarter where he was getting abused. TJ McConnell abused him on one. It was essentially a layup. It was one of his I don't think it was a baseline jumper because it was a little bit off the baseline, but you know the TJ McConnell baseline jumper we saw for years? It was sort of like that, just a little off the baseline. And then who else was out there? Dougie McDermott was getting by Furky. Furkan Korkmaz couldn't hang because he can't play defense, and it wasn't as if he even had that bad of an offensive side of the game when the game wasn't blown out yet. I'm talking more of the first quarter. A couple fake passes as he's driving the lane and getting to the rim. He was driving. He was torching Lamb. I mean, Lamb, what the hell are you doing? How are you getting toasted by Furkan Korkmaz? Not that Lamb is a special player, but if you're getting beat by Furkan Korkmaz, you're not focused because he's not an athletic guy in NBA terms. But when you can't defend, you're going to find yourself on the bench. And it was almost as if it was like 3 straight plays of attacking Furkan Korkmaz. There's a reason why they do that. But if this team can't defend, they're screwed. They're screwed. They are struggling on the road. Another road loss. When it comes to those teams I talk about at the top of the Eastern Conference, they have the worst road record. Another one falls. 3-game losing skid. Another 3-game losing skid. And they have to play the Houston Rockets. It'll be a true test. It'll be a true test. See, now I'm almost bothered by the road stuff. Because it's in their head. And that's great they can win at home. No one's denying that they can win at home. We know they can. The energy's electric there. It boosts them. It gives them an extra sort of energy. But you got to find ways to win on the road. You have to. You need to. It's all in their head now. I mean, when they walk into the building, when they're walking into the arena, they know, we got to win this. We're on the road. We have to. It's in their heads. So what will it take for it to stop being in their heads? Is it just one win? Is it 2 road wins in a row? Would it be 3 road wins in a row? I'm not saying they can do that because they have shown me so far that they can't, but what will it take? Because right now it is obviously in everyone's head that they can't win when they are not at the Wells Fargo Center. And that is a problem because they have to. We will see what this team does. They're in a bumpy patch. They're on a bumpy road right now. Doesn't mean they can't get out of it. Doesn't mean they will get out of it. But this was the journey. This is the journey. The 82-game season. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. Just seems like there's been a lot of downs lately. 6th seed. Unbelievable. Let me know your thoughts below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.